G-Move, Waza Waza. Thank you very much for joining us today in another installment of the MOVECAST. Today we have a very special guest, Patrick from Colony Labs. Patrick, it is a pleasure to have you on today's episode so we can learn more about Colony Labs, what they're doing, the Accelerator program, etc. Let's start off. Patrick, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here. Always excited to talk about Colony. Always excited to talk about Move. So G Move, everyone.
G
Absolutely,
move.
G-Move, guys, G-Move. So, Adam, I like to start these things off by getting to know our guest a little bit. Any chance you could provide us a little bit of background about yourself and how you became part of the Colony Labs team?
Sure. Hi to your cat, by the way.
Oh yeah, Ruffles, dog actually.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay. I just saw the tail.
yeah, she's a sweetheart.
Yeah. So I've got a very diverse background in tech, biotech, finance, all sorts of things. I did not get into the crypto space until late 2020. So it was COVID times. I had some time to read. I finally decided to learn a little bit more about this blockchain thing that I'd been just kind of sidelining forever. And then once I finally started learning more about it, I was like, I can't believe I just left this in my blind spot, because there's so many obvious benefits, and I kind of ignored it all because of just all the other noise that you hear. You hear the wrong noise and it puts you off, and you just kind of blanketly label the whole ecosystem as one thing. So once I started actually reading about the technology, I got hooked, man. So then I was just constantly reading, constantly learning stuff. And right away jumped into several ecosystems, Colony being one of them. And since then, yeah, I mean, it's been like a lot of people, a bit of an obsession just to kind of uh, see exactly how we can implement this technology well, and where I see it being in the future.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. You mentioned in the beginning you were in biotech. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's not biotech. Sorry, I worked with robotics, medical robotics.
Oh,
So I
interesting.
worked with a medical robotics company for a while, working on auto-ambulatory devices, upper extremity rehabilitation devices. Um, I've dipped my toes into a lot of things. As you can see from my hair, I've had some extra experience.
Yeah. It's just interesting. And then you said you made the switch during the pandemic. So I mean, I find that interesting that you were in the medicine industry and during the pandemic, and then he switched over to crypto and stuff. Was there one particular bit of news that caught your attention about crypto, or was it just you just started reading essentially, or was that?
Yeah, it wasn't a bit of news, and I didn't make a full switch over actually until late last year. So that's when I actually started working in the Web3 ecosystem. But as far as what I was looking at, I didn't understand the ability for digital proof of ownership of anything. Right, I was really as someone who, I've also worked as a network technician and a computer tech. I always thought of myself as somebody who's more on the edge of technology, but I didn't even know really what a smart contract did or how that functioned. And so once I just looked at it and saw, okay, wait, we're talking about being able to prove the actual ownership of a digital asset. Now that just opens the door to everything, right? You can have a country uh, put out a bond for anyone in the world to purchase, and they can know that that is the item that they're getting. Authenticity of a digital asset to me was the first thing that just popped into my, area of reading, where I was
You.
just like, oh, okay, no, this is something that can change how everything operates. And then you're talking about, the ability for people to transfer or exchange funds without any middlemen. That's going to completely change the forex markets, for and we already see examples of that where I can exchange a US dollar for a euro, or something that's backed by the euro and has the equivalent value of a euro, and I can do it for a fraction of a penny. And if I compare that to what was available previously, it's just so obvious when you're looking at these things that these systems are going to change everything. We're eliminating so many middlemen, and streamlining processes, and just reducing so much friction. And just tips of the iceberg. I got excited about reading stuff about, potentially when we're talking medical, talking about digitizing patient records. If you've ever been a patient and you've tried to get access to your own records, it's insanely difficult. There's still things stored on microfilm in basements of hospitals, and you would think that that is something that should belong to you, and we have the technology to make it work. Implementing it is the next step, right? And there's regulatory issues there's all sorts of things, but it's just a whole world of possibilities that I think have yet to be explored. And so, even though I felt like I got in a bit late, I still feel like I'm very early.
Yeah, I think the magic begins once you do your first transaction from the centralized exchange to your own wallet. So, do you remember which transaction this was for you, maybe?
Yeah. So I was going through Coinbase originally, and the first network that really hit for me was Avalanche. And it was at a point where they didn't even have a DEX yet. So to get it from their X chain to the C chain, I had to route through another exchange called Gate IO, I had to send Ethereum to Gate to buy the AVAX, and then I had to get that onto the X chain. Then I had to get that onto the C chain. I feel like it was a much more complicated process than what people deal with now. But because it was my first one, it was just going through the steps. So I was actually able to learn a lot about the AVAX ecosystem early because I had a clean slate when I got started.
And so you joined the AVAX community also quite early, or how
Yeah.
was your way into Colony then?
Yeah. So for me, one of the best ways I find to learn is to just try and answer other people's questions. So I'd go in the Discord because I've had multiple jobs as, tech support or different things where I just learn along the way. So I would go in there, help people go through those processes that I did. And then when a question comes up that I couldn't answer, I'd research it, find the answer, and then, help them through it. And that's a good way to just keep learning things that come up more often. So I spent a lot of time in their Discord, just fielding questions as, a community member, and trying to pick up as much knowledge as I could throughout that process.
Yeah, immersion is definitely like the best way to go about it. And then what? From joining the AVEX community, how was it your pivot into Colony Labs from there?
Yeah, so Colony came out. They kind of announced what it was that they were doing, and that just immediately clicked for me, because they were doing something that I felt passionate about as well, which is, taking these the community's funds, pooling them together, and using them to act as a much stronger force than you could ever do on your own, right? Also, just democratizing seed sales was a big push for me. So allowing people to collectively get in, it really unlocks one of the most important aspects of Web3 for me, which is fragmentation. Being able to take something that normally you would have to have $1 million to get into, and creating through smart contracts the ability for people to pool their resources together and act as one to get access to that, so that even if you have $10 or $100, you're gaining access to these opportunities that you wouldn't have otherwise, because it just doesn't make sense for a project to reach out to 100 people, or it's certainly traditionally, right? If you're trying to raise funds, you can't go to the community. You could do things like Kickstarter, but those are limited in their abilities. But this just simplifies that process. It allows people to collectively invest in something, um, and opens that door where traditionally those opportunities just didn't exist. You had to have a large amount of money to have a seat at the table to even start that conversation.
So yeah, you provided us a little bit of info of what Colony Labs does. I guess it's kind of like a public venture capitalist kind of a thing. Can you explain to us everything else that Colony does, or like I don't know what their function is and what what problem they've identified and they're addressing.
I'm sorry, what was that last part of that question?
Oh, if there's anything that Colony Labs identified that was like missing in the space, and whatever remedy they've decided to implement.
Yeah, sure. So in regards to the whole seed sale, or I'm sorry, seed opportunities, prior to this, we would have opportunities for the community at ICO, right? When the coin launches, the community can jump in. That's 2 or 3 steps in the process, right? There was a seed round, there was a pre-seed round, there was Series A, Series B. Those were all things that the community did not have access to. So what Colony is doing is, providing those opportunities, providing that ability to get in at the most lucrative, potential levels. Now, on one note, that does uh, um, add some, additional considerations, right? You're jumping in at a higher part of the funnel. You have to expect more of these projects don't necessarily come to fruition. So people have to get, a little bit more accustomed to those types of opportunities. But prior to that, yeah, we were just waiting for an ICO to drop, and then there's already a bunch of people, well, not a bunch of people, a few people with very deep bags that are already vested, and you never know if they're going to dump on you, right? So what we're doing is democratizing the cap table so that instead of 1 or 2 people with large holdings in a project, you start out with a community that's, invested in the project, and ideally a community that's interested in, the continued success of that project, not just a quick flip. To answer your question about the other things that Colony is doing is, we use our capital to help build the ecosystem as a whole. So, not only are we investing in the projects early, but we're also, for example, for a DEX that launches, um, it's hard for a DEX to raise their initial liquidity, right? It's very difficult to start a DEX and have, a couple $1 million of liquidity to go, but without it, you can't really function. So we provide, one of the things that we do is we provide liquidity to some of the projects in the ecosystem. Sometimes we cut a favorable deal so that we get a little bit better than what someone else would, and that's because we can come to the table and say, yeah, we'll front load you $1 million, right? That way your protocol can start, it can work, and then our community is going to benefit from the rewards that liquidity pool generates, and so then we take that, we share it back with the community of stakers that we have. Another thing that we do is we run a validation pool. So we have about 500,000 AVAX in our treasury. 300,000 of that runs a validator node. That validator node just generates rewards, and then those rewards get shared back to our stakers as well. And then, we try and do what we can to help build up projects in the background in various ways.
Cool. That's probably the connection you got to Movement.
Yeah. So Movement, our connection with Movement is very early on. Colony invested $200,000 into Movement Labs, and that, the value of that holding now is somewhere north of 55 million or 60 million, depending on the price of Move. Those tokens are going to be shared with our community. They are part of or there's a vesting schedule for those, so they're going to be unlocking for several years. But yeah, Move was something that we saw and wanted to invest in them at really the one of the worst times in crypto. It's, I think, September of 2023. Everything was down. Capital was hard to get, and for Rushi and Coop, it's hard to go to individuals, right? You couldn't just go to every individual and say, hey, can you throw in this? Can you throw in that? But Colony has a treasury of funds that is used to invest in projects like, Move. And so that's how we got involved with Move at such an early stage.
And do you remember, you guys do probably decent research on the protocols you support, but do you remember what was like the selling point or the unique selling point Movement had, so you decided to invest in there?
Yeah, I think honestly for Move, it was the team was probably one of the biggest selling points, right? Move, our Coop and Rushi were just so passionate about what they were building, very good at explaining, what it is that Move was going to bring to the table. Another complete blind spot for me, by the way. As much as I try and read in the space, you can't learn everything that's out there. I did not start learning about Move until after I heard about our investment in Move. So I heard about our investment in Move and said, okay, well, it's time for me to learn about this. And then I started learning about that, went down that rabbit hole and went, okay, this makes a lot of sense, right? This makes total sense, and I'm really glad that we got invested in this. But yeah, to answer your question, it was mostly the team. I think we saw in them, a lot of passion and knowledge, and that they were here to really build something.
That's I think that's really great. How you guys got involved with movement pretty early, but going back to the thing you said earlier, how you guys kind of help new projects that are launching kind of bootstrap some liquidity. I think I've heard that they actually Roosh and Coops actually tried launching prior than releasing before Movement Labs, and they actually released, I think, an aggregator on Move, but then they had zero liquidity, so they had to let go of their entire team and kind of start from scratch again. So it would have been kind of useful to have someone like you guys there at the beginning for them, but then ultimately we probably wouldn't be where we're at right now if they didn't have that little bit of a
Yeah.
hiccup. Yeah. But then I think you also mentioned that you guys also do a bit of an accelerator program. I know that you said that you guys help kind of provide liquidity to these new projects, but I was understanding that projects at any stage of development would be able to kind of through whatever channels you guys have access maybe some funds, so they can go ahead and and continue with their vision at whatever stage they're at in development. So I think maybe the accelerator program maybe includes people that even just have a rough draft of an idea. If it's compelling enough, maybe you guys will go with it. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I mean, that is certainly the vision and the goal. Currently, we are more focused on kind of seed level stuff, places where people have something to show. Ultimately, I would love to see on our platform, that very, very first piece. And we do investments in those, but not as a community, or not as part of our active investments with the ESF program, where each individual gets to decide, I want to invest X amount of my own funds in this or not. As a full protocol, we make investments in those types of ideas, at that very early stage. But ultimately, I would like to see that we have a platform where someone can come in. They've got their pitch deck, and they've got a little bit of an idea, but they're just getting started, and allow our community members to decide individually, yes, I want to throw in on this, or no, I don't. I don't think we're there yet, simply because there's a level of savviness that's kind of required from the community to make sure that they're filtering out the good ones and the bad ones. The last thing that we want to do is create a platform for people to just come say they're going to do something and rug, right? So that's the difficulty, is making sure that we have the things in place so that we can filter out, the good the good builders from, the people who are just trying to extract value and take off. So when we're talking about at that level, it could be difficult, and it's something that um, we still have to kind of figure out exactly the best way to make that work. I don't know how far along that'll be, but it's going to take more of education in our community, having some better people within the community that can help vet those projects and help explain to people, this is why, I trust this person, or this is what they've done in the past. There's a lot more vetting that gets involved there. And ultimately, in these deals, it is up to the investor to make their own decisions, and they're responsible for that. But we don't want to provide a bunch of potentially bad investments from nefarious actors.
How's your experience on this? Like, I mean, as I understood you, you are more or less kind of public venture capital, if you can call it like this. But if you look in traditional venture capital, there's not always like a 100% successful rate. Did you experience like bad experience as well?
Oh yeah, certainly. I mean, when we launched in 2021, we put money into multiple projects that it was at the height of the market, and many of them did not come to fruition, and we expect that, right? And I think that is something that one of my jobs is to really explain that to people, that this is part of that venture capital game, right? A good venture capitalist, they need 1 or 2 out of 10, that's it. Or sometimes, even 1 out of 20. And, in regards to what I would say to somebody, when look at that is, again, Move is the prime example, right? We invested in Move at a very early stage. There's all sorts of things that could have come in the way that made that, not come together. But when it does come together, we hit a 300x, on that investment, right? So you can afford to have 10 bad investments if that's one of your good investments, and that's how you have to think. And that is also something that I was kind of alluding to earlier, that if we're going to have those types of opportunities on the platforms, people have to have that mindset of, there's a good chance this is not going to come together. There's a better than 50-50 chance that this won't come together. But if you understand the numbers and you do your due diligence and you research the projects and you bet on the ones that make the most sense, that's where the real investment is.
Yeah, and I think in the end it's exactly that point which makes crypto so attractive to most of us. You don't have to be like a degen, but even like the better crypto investors for this in the space, I guess. And also, if you look back into the history of crypto, you always had this like try and error process, and I think that's something natural for crypto. And I'm not wondering that you experience stuff like that. So yeah, but cool to see that you at least got like enough high rate to survive and to grow. I think that's what matters in the end.
Yeah, no, the Colony team has really managed the treasury very well throughout the bear. We launched in November of 2021, which was, the absolute worst time to really launch a project in regards to, where it was headed. But they were able to, protect the treasury that they had, wait very patiently as far as when to jump back in and start purchasing more assets. And, the community the whole time was like, oh, this is the bottom. You got to buy, get us out of the stables, get us out of stables. They created a DCA plan and just, very strategically did it. One thing that really brought me to Colony as a traditional type of investor and in finance was that kind of professional attitude that they manage it with a lot of traditional risk management style, and it's really paid off.
No, definitely something about this space is like the timing, and definitely
Mhm.
like knowing when to jump in and when to jump out is very crucial to like making it around here for sure. Like when I was first coming in, I was buying everything, but then you realize, oh man, the dips last a while, and then the
Yeah,
dips go lower than you think they do. Uh,
right.
yeah, I think we've all been there and stuff. The success rate that you were mentioning earlier, I couldn't help, maybe this is just a sign of my age, but I was thinking about like, I don't know, like bands in the 90s, how like, I don't know, I think I watched too much VH1 Behind the Music. And they're just talking about like how like 1 in 10 bands, like music producers only needed to sign like 1 in 10, like 1 in 10 bands for them to be like successful and stuff. And I was watching some documentary about a band, and they're just kind of like criticizing the music industry. It's like, man, like, what kind of place is it where like you can be successful when only 10% of your of like your products like actually make and stuff? Obviously, like this is a different industry, but it's just wild, like those kind of numbers and those kind of ratios. Um, oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to agree with you. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
again, it's all about that mindset of understanding where in the funnel you're jumping into, to understand what the fallout rate is and what what your expectation of success is going to be. And we do these riskier investments. They are riskier because, again, with Roosh and Coop, they were two guys with a plan, and a story, and that was it, right? They didn't have infrastructure already built in front of them, but that higher risk pays a higher reward, and that's just something that you factor in.
I think this would probably be a good segue, but is the rally program that you have with Movement similar to the Accelerator program, or what's going on with the Move Rally program?
Yeah, so the Move and Rally program, basically, we have multiple projects that are raising seed level rounds on our platform. So our early stage platform is where users can actively participate. So rather than using the treasury, we bring a deal to the table. So, for example, with RootX, they are raising $200,000 for their seed round. So if you want to participate and you're a staker, you commit your tokens, you're able to get an allocation of that 200,000 seed raise. So you're investing in a very early level with RootX. And we did the same for Stablejack. We did the same for LYNC. If you are participating in those, the Movement Rally program is basically a bonus incentive, where we are going to be airdropping a bonus of Move tokens to the participants that are actively participating in these investments. So we have $200,000 worth of Move tokens that are allocated towards this. So not only are you getting, this opportunity to buy at a lower price because you're buying at seed, as a seed investor, but then you're going to get a bonus airdrop of Move tokens just for doing that.
Wow, I hope people paid attention to that part. That's incredible. Outside of
Yeah.
the that Move allocation, what else do users need to do to make sure that they're able to be a part of this? I'm not sure if we covered
Sure.
yeah.
So to be a part of the Colony community, all you have to do is stake Colony tokens. So that move allocation that I talked about, that we invested in, that we have, that it's going to go to stakers, you can still be a part of that. If you buy Colony today and you stake it on the platform, you start immediately collecting the rewards from our treasury's investments. And so those Move token rewards aren't coming out until the end of this year because there's a vesting schedule. Ours do not start unlocking until the end of this year, and then it goes on for the next 3 or 4 years after that. And so as those unlock, they just drip to the community. And so if you're just staking Colony, you're getting those rewards. You're also getting access to the Avalanche rewards that I just talked about, where we're running a validation node. Those rewards are constantly getting dripped to the stakers as well. You also get access to the investments from our liquidity provision. So when we provide liquidity to these projects, we take the rewards from that liquidity provision, and we distribute it to our colony stakers. You're also getting access to our other early investments. So just like Move, we have some other early investments that are out there, and as those come to fruition, those investments start getting airdropped to colony stakers as they unlock. You get in access to the early stage investment. So as I was talking about that active participation, if you're actively participating in those fundraisers, 8% of those tokens are allocated to our colony staking community who are just passively there. So we take 8% of that and we just give it to you for being there. That by doing that, we involve everybody in every single project. So as a staker, you'd be getting a portion of Stablejack's allocation. You'd be getting a portion of LYNC's allocation. You'll be getting a portion of Root X's allocation and any other project that launches on there. So all you have to do is stake CLY and you get access to all of these things. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to KYC to be a part of that. You are required to KYC to be actively investing in the seed round allocations.
No, dude, that's an incredible opportunity. I've been staking some colony already for like the past month at least, and like
right on. Yeah, just hold it there. That's why I tell everybody, stake it, and you don't have to do anything else. If you look at where all the revenue streams are coming in from, and I'm making multiple videos to cover those streams. One difficulty I think that we have is just that there's so much to talk about. It's really hard to get it all out in 30 seconds. As you can see, I'll just ramble on with all the things that you're going to be able to get just by staking.
Yeah. No, it's an incredible opportunity. And then this idea of being early, like, dude, it's still so early, like it's incredible. And then now you're talking about like vesting that doesn't end till like the end of the year. So get in now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The sooner you get in, the better, because we do a weighted allocation. So the amount of time that you've been staking is factored in as part of your airdrop as well. So the longer you've been holding, you get a little bit beefed up allocation for that. So it's both the amount that you stake and the amount of time that you've been there.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, did you want to say something, Adam? Sorry.
Yeah, already a lot of alpha and interesting news for the community. And we at the MOVECAST always try to get some community questions into the episodes as well. And I think at this point we have a great question which came from The Bomb, who is also one very active community member. I think he's even somehow connected to the AVAX ecosystem, because that's part of his nickname as well. And he's asking if there's any alpha on how many movement projects will have funding through Colony after Stablejack, LYNC, and Route X. If that's something you can maybe share or give an outlook.
I wish I could, but it is one that we are not able to disclose at this point. So, that number is still up in the air. To be honest, we have multiple projects that we're still kind of courting and talking with, but we don't have an official number to give at this point as far as how many are going to be a part of the movement rally.
And another question, which is in addition to this, we saw that the hottest trend on the Move ecosystem is like NFTs. So we have different NFTs coming up, like the Gorilla Movers, the Brackets, and many, many more. And the question is if there's a chance that there could be something like a Colony movement rally NFT in the near future.
Unlikely. Our focus is not in NFTs. We are, again, a little bit more on the traditional side as far as like the projects that we have in there. They have to have a business model that relies on generating actual revenue, right? Versus a meme coin or an NFT, if there's not utility behind it, it's not we would never have an NFT project launch on our platform. We might have a NFT marketplace, because that makes sense, right? That's something where you can say this is going to be generating revenue. This is, something that brings more value to its token over time. But anything that is, just community based is kind of outside of our scope.
And then I just find it interesting also that you guys are Avalanche, but then you guys are like working with Move. Do you guys anticipate to be working with other chains, across the pond or anything like that, or is this a
No,
special occasion?
yeah, sorry, good question, but no, Move was kind of a unicorn for us, really. The Our main focus has been on the Avalanche network. In regards to Move, we got involved with Move because they had some involvement with Avalanche. The Move blockchain uses the same consensus mechanism, I believe, as Avalanche. Um, and there were some, initial plans for them to potentially launch a L1 on the Avalanche network. But our focus has always been kind of within our ecosystem scope. So there is not any plans on the table for us to be doing anything with Solana or Ethereum or any other blockchains. Move is kind of special. And again, for me, I was very happy that we did it because I'd heard of Aptos and Sui, but I just never had the time to really research it. And when Move came along and I heard Rushi talk and Coop talk, and I also, was like, these guys are very clearly passionate builders, and they're building something. I want to learn more about it. And then that opened the door to me for Move, and just, the obvious benefits of having a Move-based language, or a language that was designed and custom tailored for blockchain use rather than having to rely on Solidity.
And then I just wanted to ask about right now. The rally program involves raising seed funding for RootX. Is there? Can you tell us maybe the reason why you guys went with because you guys don't allow any project that applies, right? But then what was it about RootX that you guys saw? What kind of potential do you guys see in RootX?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So again, with them, I think one of the key components was team. They have an experienced team that has built in, Web3 in the past. And then the product itself, it's, a DEX aggregator. We're talking about a brand new ecosystem. The key components to any blockchain, right? You're going to have DEXs, you're going to have aggregators, you're going to have staking protocols. Those are the kinds of things that we want our community to be able to invest in, because those are the foundational supports of the entire network. So that at any given time, if there's activity on the chain, the aggregator is going to be existing, right? So that was one of the things, but that's what helps us get the conversation started. But certainly their team, the enthusiasm, those were all key components as to why we ended up putting them on as one of our rally programs.
Right on. Yeah, I actually I got to meet Ivan at Consensus last year, and then lucky enough for him to sit next to me. We're getting some dinner or something at an after event, and yeah, that dude was super cool. Like I think I had just joined the Discord, and then we just started talking, and the dude's like, "Are you in the Discord?" I'm like, "Yeah, man," and then he totally hooked it up with a spider roll. It's like, Ivan, I just met you, and you're a really nice guy.
Yeah, I was actually just talking to Ivan last night. I did we did a Twitter space with him and Kang for their raise, and yeah, they're just a great team, really cool people, and I love the spider, their spider NFTs. I'm not big into most NFTs, but there's just something about it, especially the ones in the hoodies, they just hit, and
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, the design is cool. I definitely it caught my eye whenever I saw him. I was like, oh, Ivan, good for him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think we already touched a little bit on the NFT side, which is definitely more, as you said, a community-centric topic. Anyways, is the topic community, is that something Colony's looking into as well, like from an investment perspective, maybe?
You mean as far as like the community. Sorry, can you ask that one more time?
Oh yeah. So is the community topic, or like the topic community, is that something you're looking into your research as well? Because I think the community can sometimes make or break a project. So
Oh yeah.
do you have as Colony Labs an approach how to measure how good a community is working, maybe, or how you guys look at that?
Yeah, no, certainly community is something that has immense value in Web3, right? And it's hard to quantify sometimes, but especially in Move, I mean, we're seeing a very active, very vocal, and very excited community. So when we're looking at the projects, that certainly helps. If they've got a large community and they're excited, that's more people who are going to potentially invest in that project as well, because they already expressed that they believe in it, and those are the people that we want to give those opportunities to. To circle back to on RootX, one cool thing that they're doing for their seed investment is the cliff, or I'm sorry, there's a for those who aren't necessarily familiar with these terms, sometimes when you do these investments, there's a holding period before you even start getting your allocation. For them, it's a 3-month cliff for the seed investors, which means if you're investing, you aren't getting tokens for at least for the first 3 months. After that, they start distributing to you over a 12-month period. So you're getting a slow drip of your allocation over 15 months. The team, however, they have a 12-month cliff, which means they aren't getting any of their tokens for another year. So they're giving the tokens to their investors, months prior to giving it to themselves, which shows that, one, they're focused on their community, right? They want to make sure that the community's getting their allocation before them, and two, that shows a long-term plan, right? If you were looking to cash out on your community and not build, you would be getting your tokens first, dumping on them, and then you don't have to do anything. Now you have this period of time where you have to keep building and keep showing that you're creating value while everyone has the opportunity to leave. And if they choose not to leave, it's because you're clearly building a good and strong product, right? So one thing I really like about the Move ecosystem in general is just that concept of community. It does seem very community driven, which very much aligns with where Colony is at, as far as we believe that ownership should be in the community's hands. We believe that every product that the community is using, they should be owning a piece of, rather than having it be in the hands of just a couple of large players.
That's fantastic. Definitely such a powerful thing, right? To have the community to be involved in so much, and for you to guys take cue from the community. It really does speak volumes to like the kind of role that the community can play.
Yeah, definitely.
And is there anything you have maybe learned, maybe in recent times or in the time you came up in movement, about the importance of communities? Do you have like a special experience?
I mean, again, I mean, the community is just it is the most important component of the whole puzzle, right? Without community, you don't have people using the product, you don't have people promoting the product. And when you do what RootX did, or when you do what Move did, when you put when you give everyone a vested interest in that protocol's success, you make everyone an advocate, right? And you make everyone want to help promote, help push this, and then it becomes owned by everybody, right? So I think that in particular, I think Move's success in particular has really exemplified the power of community, the importance of community, and just how how much you can gain collectively by including everyone together from the beginning.
Yeah, I think so as well. Because I think the main narrative about a long time in crypto was who has like the best tech, and you see all these different projects running up, who has like the most TPS or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think Movement is like one of the first, or maybe there were some other, or are some other, maybe like Solana, who put a much higher centric on the community. So I think that's something special of Movement, and yeah. So I definitely agree to what you said.
Yeah, and then also the decision, how you said like these companies or these projects that work with you guys, it definitely shows their priorities. Whenever how you said with RootX, like they're having their cliff like farther ahead in the community. So like if you want to dump on them, they're cool with that, but that's not their main concern. They're here, I guess, to be part of something for the long haul. And giving the community that option, it not only demonstrates their priority, but like gives them like importance and stuff. And like, who doesn't like feeling like that? Like, like you're on the radar for someone.
Yeah. And, Move did something similar. They did their airdrops, and they are waiting a year before they are able to even start tapping into their tokens, which, I found, to be really just amazing. It's inspiring. It's them saying, we're going to keep building, right? We're obviously not dipping out. We're going to keep building this. And, it's also, you can even see it in the reflection of the token price, right? You didn't see people get a free airdrop and just dump it. It actually went up. And that's because everybody's looking at it saying, these guys are here for the long run. I want to be here for the long run too, right? Like we're building something and they're doing it together. I think it's a really, really good move that they did. And I think it is,
Unintended.
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, even funnier was this move mention narrative. Maybe, I don't know if you saw this, but there was like some FUD around the TGE date in which you saw some people telling like the movement founders gonna sell their move allocation directly and move into the mention. So yeah, if you have a look on the tokenomics, you see what you just said, the strong alignment for the future, and how the team is aligned to the future of the token.
I just wanted to ask one more question. And this connects kind of like community to what we were just talking about. Like, in order for the community to be involved, how important is it for your community to be informed? And how much of an importance do you take on like, taking the time to create content that that lets them know like how to understand these things?
For me, it's paramount. An informed community is just paramount. I think that especially for us, we have a little bit more complexity in our ecosystem. There's a lot of different things that we're doing. Having an informed community that can talk about that, and advocate for you is super important, and being able to talk about it intelligently, very important. Having as a collective, because we are a collective force, having people in our community that understand the entire ecosystem, that can bring in their own information as well when we're talking about evaluating projects and deciding what we want to invest in. The more informed people that we have, the stronger we are, right? So, I want to add as many people to our collective, to just increase our collective knowledge and gain experience from all over the place. Because, as I've mentioned a couple of times in here, right, there's blind sites that we all have. There's so much information to be found in this place that not no one person can get it all. You can't come close.
Yeah.
So, there's blockchains that I'd never even heard of, that there's all sorts of interesting stuff going on there. And so if you bring in people from outside, you can gain knowledge from everybody. So an informed community is absolutely paramount. And I think for the entire ecosystem as a whole, we need to elevate education. I think we need better advocates for crypto and Web3 because there's so much noise in the space of, just zero sum games or the casino type piece of it, that all the really cool stuff, or all the stuff that I think is cool that is really probably boring for most people, gets muted out, right? So the general perception of blockchain is just completely out of tune. And I really believe that fundamentally because I was that outsider that up to 2020, even thinking of myself as somebody who's typically technical and knowledgeable, so I was completely on the outside thinking that it was just one big casino, right? That there wasn't this underlying technology that could make changes to all sorts of things. So I figured if I'm there, certainly the boomer generation is going to be they gotta just be looking at crypto and just still thinking it's a casino and it's apes and that's all I need to know. And if we have a better informed community that can more articulately express what the abilities of blockchain are, what the actual fundamental changes to our infrastructure could be, I think we can move the entire space forward. And I think that's something that is of mutual benefit to everyone from every chain, is being able to elevate that conversation with the rest of the masses, because I still think that we have kind of a bad name. We're seeing a change on that. Because we're seeing institutional players like BlackRock get involved. There's people who are now, at least open to it, but I still don't think that there's a lot of informed individuals there. They're just seeing it as more of a mainstream thing, but not understanding the real capabilities that are there.
That's fantastic answer.
I totally agree on that point with you, and in the end, that's also one reason why we decided to establish something like the MOVECAST on the movement, because I'm already in crypto since 2017, so I'm kind of like a child of the ICO boom. So I witnessed some of the bear markets, and actually, one thing which I always love to see if projects have stuff like podcasts or something in which the community can interact with each other and attract also new people from the outside. And as you said, I think it's super important to have this informed community, because the more information the community is having and sharing, the stronger it is. And so I'm definitely down on your answer.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. You never know where an idea can come from. I myself, every day, someone in the community is teaching me something, either on purpose or inadvertently. And definitely growing the knowledge base of the entire community is something that will definitely help propel this space forward. Because you said, my real life friends, I know they don't totally understand it, and they know that I spend a lot of time on here, and I'm pretty sure maybe they're doubtful of my decisions and stuff. Yeah. But I think that's partly because of the perception that this space has on the outside, But then once you start learning about things and you start learning what these terms mean, you mentioned smart contracts at the beginning. When my friend was first trying to explain to me for smart contracts, I just went completely over my head. And it was just after some time, rereading the sentences or whatever, trying to digest this information. It's just oh, wow. The utility of it starts dawning on you, and just how really forward facing this technology can be. So yeah, having an informed community is, I think, how you mentioned, it's pretty paramount to projects and the space as a whole. So yeah. Thank you very much for that answer again.
No problem.
Yeah. I don't know, Adam. You think we've reached a good point here?
Yeah, I think you You gave us a great look into what Colony does and how the connection is to the movement eco. And maybe to give a look into the future, where do you see the crypto adoption coming, or like do you see the crypto adoption getting into mainstream? And maybe do you have an idea or a vision how Colony can play in this DeFi space? Which role does it play?
Oh, great question. So, where I see the future of adoption, I do think it's going to be more of a back end thing for people where they don't necessarily, when we're talking about mass adoption, it's going to be people not really understanding that they're using the blockchain, but using the blockchain. I think that there's a couple of key things that we need to explain to people. In that, and that is, I think everyone needs to understand the concept of self-ownership. That the difference between holding money in a bank account and holding money on chain or something where you are the master of that and just understanding that concept. Maybe they don't have to understand exactly how private keys work, but I think that's probably the first thing that everyone needs to understand. If they haven't understood that, I don't consider them onboarded to crypto, because we hear that term a lot of, oh, we're onboarding all these users because they're using crypto and they don't even know it. But that's like saying I've onboarded someone to Linux because they've got a navigation system in their car. That doesn't really mean anything, right? You didn't teach them anything about Linux. You just did that. They just use it without knowing it. But I think as long as you understand that real key difference, that you are you're the holder of this and nobody else can take it, and that there's no central authority that has the ability to do it, then you've done your job. I don't think we have to get any more technical than that. In regards to where Colony fits in the future of this larger participation, I see us in two different ways. One, a little bit more on the backside of it, where we are funding the projects that are the front-facing projects, right? That we are the back-end investors as a community. We are the ones propping up these protocols, building these protocols, funding them, and helping in their promotion, talking about them, doing all that stuff as a community. On the other side, we are currently we have an index token that basically takes multiple tokens within our ecosystem and creates an index token. We take the underlying assets, we put them into yield-bearing strategies, and then we have one token that kind of represents them all. So where I'm going with this is, I think this would be something for the casual audience that says, oh, okay, I've heard about this ecosystem. I want to get invested, but I don't want to have to learn DeFi. I don't want to have to learn all the things that I do with this. If you buy this one token and you hold it, this token does all those investments for you. And so then I see that as being something that can be incorporated into, public retirement funds or people's just typical portfolios. That is something that I'm excited about. And I forgot to mention this, but the fees that coin generates, half of those go back to our community of stakers. So if you're a staker, that's one more way that you're getting income from Colony, which is through the Colony Kai token. And it's currently sitting, I think it has the deepest liquidity of any index token in Web3 currently. And it's got we've got about $3.5 million of assets in it currently. And we're looking to grow that, because I do see that as the kind of the normie, to put it in quotes, the normie's intro to entry to crypto, so that, they don't want to have to go through all those steps with every protocol of staking something or doing that. We do all that for them. They buy that one token and they hold it. And I think that could be one of the roles that we fill in the future of adoption.
Fantastic. So this sounds a little bit like a crypto ETF on chain, something like that.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. And again, I mean, the big difference is that we keep all the assets on chain and we put them all to work for you, so that they are, generating single-sided type revenue, so that there's no risk involved with those assets.
Yeah, and I would maybe add to this. I mean, you will probably have this role already today, but I think in the future maybe even more, that you allow people already to invest in such pre-seeding rounds with smaller amounts, right? So you don't have to be like the big guy sitting on a huge bunch of tokens to be able to participate, but you can already come in with lower amounts.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that with RouteX. Unfortunately, if you're in the U.S., you're geo locked out unless you're a accredited investor, because we do have to, abide or protect our projects from being labeled as security. But if you have $5 that you want to invest at seed level, you can do that today. And that is one of the key roles that we're bringing, or opportunities that we're bringing to the table, because prior to that, to even start that conversation, you have to have $100,000 ready to put into something.
And that's great. And I think that matches up with your guys' image, right? The colony and the ants, right? Like a collective force.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's been very apt, and we're always looking for more ants in the colony. I do believe that every single person who joins us makes us a little bit stronger. So I don't care, again, if it's just $5 that you want to put in. We want to have you there.
Incredible. Any other thoughts or anything else that you want to add that we haven't gotten a chance to get to by any chance?
Just if you have further questions, our Telegram is there. My DMs are open. If you need, help getting started, or you just want to learn more about what we're doing, I'm more than happy to talk to anyone out there as far as the opportunities that we have. And again, I firmly believe that every participant has value. Every person in our community brings value. We also, one thing that I like to really reaffirm to people is that time, is not a big issue. If it's day one for you, you still have something that you can bring to the table that maybe nobody else can, right? So, I really believe that the best community is one that everybody pitches in however they can. You don't have to have the expectation to be the most helpful person or whatever else, but if you do your bit and everybody acts that way, we can really push this space forward.
Excellent note to end it on, dude. Yeah, do not fade community. I love it.
Fantastic. So yeah, thank you, Patrick, for showing up today, bringing us closer to Colony, what Colony is, and how the connections to movement is. And so yeah, thank you, Gmove and Wasa,
Patrick.
Gmove, Wasa. Thank you for having me, guys. Loved being here, and anytime. Had a blast.
Thank you, Patrick.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.